If you're expecting your first baby, this video is for you. Hi, my name is Dan Rabs, and this is Dad Life. Today, I'm going to go through 3 unexpected things that made baby life a lot more difficult than I expected. Having a baby is definitely not easy, and it shouldn't be. If it is easy, you're probably not doing something right. Before my little one was born, I already knew that baby life is not going to be easy. I was mentally preparing myself for having a complete change in my routine, for having to change nappies, and for having sleepless nights. I was saying to myself, it's no longer going to be just my partner and I. We're going to have a little baby that we have to look after. I mean, what the? You're literally raising a human being. I mean, that's crazy. So before my little one came, I was already preparing myself mentally and physically for the next chapter. I also knew that I'm not going to have as much time with my friends. I'm not going to have as much time to do what I want. And we're not going to have as much time to spend together as husband and wife. That's just the reality, especially in the early days, and especially if it's your first child. And even though I was mentally and physically prepared for having a baby, and was already considering all the things that are going to happen, the reality was much harder. A lot of the things that I had prepared for already were okay. So having that mental preparation really helped when the time came. But there were 3 things that definitely hit me a lot harder than I expected. And the third one was definitely the hardest. The first unexpected thing that made baby life a lot more difficult was not knowing what to do. I had read a couple of books before my little baby was born, and I think it really helped. It helped me understand a few things before they really happened. So I highly recommend reading a couple of books before your little baby arrives. But every single baby is completely different. So some of the things you read might not apply to your baby. However, I still highly recommend reading some stuff before you get started. It will give you some preparation for when the baby arrives. It will teach you a few things that you might not know about if you don't read the books. Even so, there was so much that I didn't know about. There are so many do's and don'ts with a newborn that it really became overwhelming, especially if you look at social media. There's a million people that tell you that you should do this, and then there's a million people that tell you that you shouldn't do that thing. So it makes it very, very difficult to know what to do. Things like, how long should he sleep? How much should he poop? What should he eat? How much should he eat? How to clean his bottles? Should he do this? Should he do that? What should he be doing at this age? What should he be doing at that age? There's so many things that you just don't know about. And there's so many things that everybody has an opinion on, and a different opinion as well. So it made it very hard to know what to do in certain situations. It's definitely the hardest and unexpected thing that happened to me when my little baby arrived. I have one recommendation is for you to do what you think is right. You should try and see how your baby reacts to different things and really cater with a bit of trial and error for what they like and what they don't. There are some things that might help your baby fall asleep that might not help others. So you need to try these things and see what works for you. That is definitely my best advice. The second unexpected thing that made baby life a lot more difficult was the crying. And there is a lot of crying. And the crying was hard because of 2 things. The first is that you didn't know what to do to help your baby stop crying. And that's just a horrible feeling. When your baby's crying and you're trying to help it, but nothing that you do works, it just feels terrible. You kind of feel like you're failing as a parent. But I want to tell you now that you're not, because every baby cries, and sometimes you might do everything right, but they'll still keep crying. The second thing that made the crying really hard was how loud it is. I definitely did not expect how loud babies can cry. I read somewhere that the sound of babies crying produces the same amount of decibels as a police or ambulance siren. I mean, that's loud. So I definitely didn't expect that. And the last and most unexpected thing that made baby life more difficult was the constant monitoring. This is something that I definitely didn't expect myself to do. Now, we've all heard the stories of people going in to check on their sleeping baby, whether it's still breathing, and putting their hands next to the nose or on their back to make sure that they're breathing. And when I heard those stories, I thought, there's no way I'm going to do that. These people are crazy. But guess what? This is exactly what I was doing, and this was very unexpected. I was constantly checking on my little baby to make sure that he's okay. I'd go in and make sure that he's breathing. I'd make sure that he was lying in the right position. I was checking that he's not too hot. I wanted to make sure that he's not too cold. And I was literally just checking every single thing just to make sure that he's okay. And it was constant. I was constantly thinking about him and constantly making sure that he's okay. And in every single scenario, I was always thinking of what could go wrong. This was actually extremely overwhelming. And it lasted for about 6 weeks, which was really a big surprise for me. I didn't think that I would be so constantly monitoring and checking up on him and making sure that he's okay. But I guess that's just what happens when you become a parent and you have this little baby who's so fragile and so small in your care. And I know that my wife was going through the same thing, and I know of many other people that were going through the same thing. So this is completely normal. The only solution for this is to not do it, but to be honest with you, I don't think any parent will not be doing that. It was in the about 6-week mark when I started to kind of pull back in terms of the monitoring. I still do it after about 9 months, but it's definitely gotten a lot better now. So that's it. These are the 3 unexpected things that happened that made baby life a lot more difficult. It was not knowing what to do, it was the constant crying, and it was the constant monitoring. If there's any unexpected things that you went through with your first child, I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments and subscribe to my channel for more videos.